kind of got to go through my head on what we need to talk about, how I'm going to organize it in the show. And he said, we have to talk about the mandatory mini camps. And I'm like, okay, well, what do we talk about it about? There's a lot of stuff that's going on. Aaron Rodgers isn't showing up. Robert Sella just like kind of described it as an unexcused absence, even though Aaron Rodgers like, hey, I have this coming up. And he's been actually participating with just about everything that's not mandatory with the Jets this past season to kind of get involved because it's ever since his Achilles tear. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. I want to pick out some superstar wide receivers. Now, I have 4 wide receivers written down that I did text you earlier. We
Yeah.
need to talk about them because right now, all 4 of them are subject to fine because none of them are attending the mini camps. And these mini
Okay.
camps are called mandatory for a reason. You have
Yes.
to show up. This is not a voluntary thing. You need to show up for these mini camps to see how this season will go, to see how you're going to go with the new team and whatnot. And the reason they're not showing up is obviously their contract. They haven't had contract negotiations, and now they're subject to fine. So let's start off one by one. I kind of want to pick and choose, and we'll start off with CD Lamb, and then start off with the dude you mentioned earlier.
Well,
Uh,
well, Connor, let's talk about well, name all of the 4 that you have right now. Let's go by them one by
okay, yeah. I have CD Lamb, Amari
one.
Cooper, Brandon Ayuk, and T. Higgins as the 4 wide receivers I want to talk about. I kind of picked out these. They're superstar. I would call them at least star, but I feel like all of these are superstar, especially Amari Cooper for the Browns that second half of the season. He was very good
Second
for
half of
them.
the season, he was he was
He
he
was
was
on top.
ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Amari Cooper was ridiculous.
So we can start off with CD Lamb. I kind of have them written in order, so it's easier for me to read. And I put CD Lamb first because the Cowboys have been a topic, especially in contract negotiations, for a quite a long time. And so CD Lamb's just on the top of the totem pole for me. I kind of have a couple numbers to go with it. He's not showing up because now it's kind of, and you can attest to this too, when you have somebody big in your franchise and you kind of put them on a 5th-year option instead of negotiating contracts with them to see how much longer they're going to stay and play for your team. It's kind of a slap to the face. It's disrespectful to the player because, hey, I don't know if I'm getting paid further. I kind of want to stay in the team that I've developed chemistry with all these years with all the players around me. And now I don't know if that's a possibility because you're kind of pushing me under the rug, ignoring me by giving me a 5th-year option and postponing what we need to be talking about. The pressing matters like a contract to keep me here. And for CD Lamb, it's in Dallas. So he's for 2024, he's on a 5th-year option worth $18 million. What does it mean for CD Lamb in Dallas? Are they going to try to keep CD Lamb, especially with Dak Prescott on the final year of his contract? What are they doing in Dallas? What does this mean for CD Lamb, Nate? Go ahead. I know you don't like the Cowboys, which is why I put them first.
Well, we're gonna throw out my disdain for the Cowboys. But before I get started, I do want to send we got to send prayers and love for Larry Allen, the one of the
You're right.
greatest to ever do, one of the greatest tackles, one of the greatest, the most freakishly athletic player tackle to play in the NFL. Send greetings to his family, love and prayers for his family. I actually went to elementary school with one of his nephews, Brandon Jefferson. Um,
Oh
but
my
with
gosh,
CD
you just know
Lamb,
everybody.
huh?
You just know everybody.
But with CD Lamb, it's a tough one for the Cowboys because you have Dak and you have CD, and then you have Micah Parsons is coming right up after that. Um, you're not going to be able to keep everybody. And the thing about it is, with CD Lamb in particular, first team All Pro last year, second team All Pro the year before. I think he led the league this year in receiving yards and whatnot. So he wants to get that Jay Jetta's money. He wants to get that Justin Jefferson money, that
And what
35,
is that, Nate?
and that's 35 a year annually. And the one thing about the receiver market and the receiver market in any market, whether it's receiver, running back, tackle, quarterback, defensive lineman, linebacker, safety, DB, corner, the market is always going to be reset by somebody having a great year, and they're going to demand top dollar and top market money. We're CD Lamb, my opinion, Justin Jefferson, my top five receivers in the league, my top five.
Now we're
Tyreek,
going based off like last season or just
no,
like kind of
we
recent.
recent, top five for me. What I've seen again, Reek, Jay Jettis, Devontae Adams. I love Cooper Cup because he runs great routes. I love Stephon Diggs. Same thing with Stephon Diggs. But so many good quality receivers. CD Lamb, he produced big numbers, but I can't really say what did he produce in the playoffs. You know, he deserves his money, yes, because he put amazing numbers. I think he broke the Cowboys single season receiving record. And
And
again,
that's crazy
yeah, that's
if we
crazy.
think about it.
And he's young, he's fifth year option. Again, making about 18 million, as you said, that's good money. But yeah, when you see what these other receivers are making, and if I'm not mistaken, him and Justin Jefferson are the same draft class, are they not?
I think they played the same amount of seasons, yes, because they both had this. I want to say they both had the same amount of Pro Bowls, and Jay Jettis just has one more All Pro than CD Lamb.
Yeah, but the thing
I don't
about it
think
is,
CD Lamb made an All Pro his rookie year.
I know, but that's the thing about it. Jay Jettison came in the league and took the league by storm. Um,
Well,
but
he
it's
had
a tough
to.
one. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for all of these receivers. Um, it's a tough one for all these receivers. Again, everybody's looking to get paid. Everybody's looking to see what the next man got. And again, Justin Jefferson, he's the top shot. He's making. I think. Do you have the top five or the highest paid receivers? Do you have that up? Because
I
I have
can
it up
get
in
it
my.
up.
I know I got it right here. I have it right here. Um, if we're gonna talk the highest paid receivers, Justin Jefferson at 35 a year annually, AJ Brown at 32 a year annually. Then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have Tyreek Hill with 30, Jalen Waddle with 28, and
That's crazy.
28.25,
The same
uh,
team. The
two,
same
two,
team.
two, exactly. You
Right
have
next to each other.
Devontae Adams with 28, and you have Cooper Cup with 26.7 annually. Now that rounds off your top highest paid receivers. But this goes back to what I said before. The market is always going to be reset because what you got to understand is Tyreek Hill has had amazing seasons. He's led the league in receiving the last 3 years and put up ridiculous numbers. If Tyreek Hill has another one of those years where he can literally, say, hypothetically speaking, top 2,000 yards, the receiver market is going to get reset again, just based off the value of the year, the stats that he just put up. It's tough.
Okay, well, you talked about like the market's resetting, of course, and you told me this is one person you want to talk about. We're on the topic of wide receivers. Somebody that was spectacular second half, especially last season, kind of helped Joe Flacco back in the groove after he was sitting on the couch eating potato chips, not knowing if he was going to play football the next week. Let's talk about Amari Cooper for the Browns. Now, I'll give you the numbers and you tell me what you think. He's going to get 20 million for the last year of his deal, and then he's going to be an unrestricted free agent.
Unrestricted.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need to, but one of the things we gotta talk about is the fact that unrestricted. Does that mean that the Browns will be able to put the franchise tag on him to try to, if he has a great year, to try to recoup, get some draft capital? Because you're not just going to let a receiver of Amari Cooper's status and his talent go. This man put up 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns in the second half of the season. Like you said, he was a monster. He was the best receiver in the game the second half of the season.
I don't
He
disagree
was
with
a
that.
he was a
He
big
made
play
Joe
waiting to
Flacco
happen.
look good.
He was a big play waiting to happen. So does that mean we just literally do we just disregard that? Because it's what you have done for me lately with the NFL. You know, so he deserves to get paid because of what he did. And the fact that he didn't have the quote unquote the franchise quarterback Deshaun Watson throwing him the ball, he deserves it. But again, do I think he deserves?
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves to be paid, but is he going to get that 30 plus million? Somebody will, because he's still young and he's still producing. Somebody will, whether it's
Well,
Cleveland, it may not be Cleveland, but somebody will.
Amari Cooper's on. He'll be 30 before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
He's at that age. Like, hey, what do we want to do here? Do we want to extend him? How much longer, or how much longer can we extend a wide receiver who is on that wrong side of 20? Like, what will if Amari Cooper wants big money, he has to say, hey, Cleveland, I am able to do this much longer, but he can't just say it, he's got to prove it.
Yeah,
And
you got to
that
do it.
that has you have to, and that has goes with attending the mini camps. And for people that don't attend mini camps, they think they're proving something by doing that. I
No,
guarantee you Cleveland would drop Amari Cooper. Because guess who they just acquired this past offseason? Guess who they just acquired from the Denver Broncos, Nate? Jerry Jeudy. Now,
Beauty.
with that in mind, they're thinking, hey, Jerry Jeudy was pretty much number one receiver, him or Cortland Sutton in Denver. Are they okay with letting Amari Cooper walk by bringing Jerry Jeudy in and having him be their number one wide receiver?
You let them test the market, just like Jack has said. You let them test the market. But the reality of it is, if you let him test the market and you're going to play with fire, you're going to, play with house money, are you really okay with saying that Jerry Jeudy is going to be your number one receiver? Or is that something you just live with? Is it something you live with? I want to know. Is it something that you test? You test that theory. You test that theory, or are you okay with Jerry Jeudy being your number one if you lose out on Amari Cooper? Or
Why
can you
else would
just sit
you
there,
acquire?
or unless you just go ahead and you sit there and say, okay, you sit down at the table and you say, you want a new contract? This is your last year of your deal. You show me what you got. You show me what you got. You if he puts up another season as of such that he did in this past year, or even better, the ball will be in his court where he can demand whatever it is that he wants. But at this rate, if I'm Amari Cooper, I want to play for something. I want to play for a title.
Well, we haven't really seen what Deshaun Watson can do for that Cleveland franchise.
Again, that's the thing.
But I want to keep going because I don't want to spend too long on the Amari Cooper train because I got two more wide receivers I want to talk about, and I saved them last for a reason. And next is Brandon Ayuk, and I think it's safe to say that this guy is the number one wide receiver in San Fran. Now we've seen Deebo Samuel; he's had injury, but I don't think Deebo can touch Brandon Ayuk at this point. I think Brandon Ayuk has the number one receiver down in the bag. And let me give you some numbers because I put it on the ticker below. I'm going to start doing that just so people that log in can see what we're talking about. Brandon Ayuk's receiving $14 million this next season. So having Jay Jetta's contract extension in mind, obviously that's all his agents are going to be like, okay, how obviously he's not Justin Jefferson, but his agent's mindset is how close can we get to that $35 million a year? How much is Brandon Ayuk worth? So
Let's look. Can I say something? Can
yeah,
we look at the guys that's underneath? Give me a yes or no. It better, just talent wise, is Brandon Ayuk better than this person? Okay. Justin Jefferson,
no,
AJ Brown,
no.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'd put it close. I'd
Okay,
I'd say
it's
they're
close. It's
close.
close.
They're
Okay,
comparable.
Tyreek Hill,
No,
he's better than Jalen Waddle.
yeah, I think so.
Devontae Adams,
No,
Cooper Kupp.
no, I can't put them above Cooper.
Okay.
But this is what's interesting. This is what's interesting. Now, the San Francisco 49ers, they offered Brandon Ayuk a 5-year extension where he would be making $26 million a year. Now, that would have ranked him 8th in wide receivers. He would have been the 8th highest paid wide receiver, but he declined it, which makes me think that he's wanting more money or he's going to go elsewhere. If he declined $26 million, making him the 8th highest paid wide receiver, when Amara St. Brown, who we just said was comparable, is the 3rd highest paid wide receiver, how much more money can Brandon Ayuk get from the San Francisco 49ers?
I don't know, because again, unless San Fran's gonna um
I'd say he might be better than Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams getting old, but Devontae Adams still a dog. He's probably got the best hands in the league, I'd
I'm
say.
not gonna sit here and say he's better than Tyreek, because again,
No, I can't
Tyreek's
say
been.
either.
I can't say he's better than Tyreek. I can't say he's better than Devontae, because Devontae runs the best routes. That Devontae is a route runner. He's a receiver. Um, Sam Fran is in a bind already. Okay, somebody's gonna have to take a pay cut or restructure a deal just so you can free up some cash for you to sign a Brandon Ayuk. You know, you just re-up. You just gave Christian McCaffrey an extension, 2 years, 38 million, 19 million annually, and
Nick
he's worth every
Bosa.
penny, and worth
Mm-hmm.
every penny.
Yeah,
Joey
I'd say
Bosa,
that.
or excuse me, is that Joey Bosa? Or is
Nick.
that Nick Bosa?
Nick.
Nick Bosa, excuse me. Not to mention, you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy in a little bit.
Exactly. That's what I was about to
You're
bring up.
going to have to pay Brock Purdy in a little bit. Um, it. This is one of the things that's hard about being a GM, because you have to figure out again how to keep your team. You're not going to be able to keep the same team together, because somebody's going to want more money, and they're going to be able to be enticed by the fact that another team could give them more money. But you got to figure out how can you build off the current nucleus and the current foundation that you have.
Well, how much longer can they go before they have to sign somebody like Purdy? Because you got to sign your quarterback. You got to have your quarterback there. Is Brock Purdy going to be the answer for the 49ers in the future? And I think so. I think he has to be.
He has to be. He has to be. We've seen what he's done with this team. We've seen what he's done with this offense, and the pairing of him and Kyle Shanahan, and the play calling and the running game with Christian McCaffrey. Not to mention the weapons that are around him. Kyle Juszczyk. Thanks, Dad. Adams is the best route runner in the NFL. Kyle Juszczyk, Debo Samuel. Again, Kittle.
They got some
That
good
offense
weapons.
is that they have good offense, or excuse me, good weapons on their offense, but you got to pay everybody, and it's going to be hard to pay everybody. It's going to be hard to pay everybody. On top of that, again, let's see how this year goes for the San Francisco 49ers. We don't want Brock Purdy to have a Super Bowl hangover, this team to have a Super Bowl hangover, because whether we want to admit it or not, that NFC West, it's loaded and it's stacked. San Fran is a great team, but LA is coming. Say what you want. The Rams, they're a team that competes. Same thing with the Arizona Cardinals. Well, no, not the Cardinals. You got the Rams, the Seahawks. Again, that NFC West is a very competitive division.
Well, I kind of want to wrap it up with the wide receivers because I don't want to spend too long so we can talk about the other topics on the show. And then I saved this one for last because I think it's the most interesting for sure. All these other guys have contract negotiations, but one's got a 5th-year option, one's on the final year of his deal, and T. Higgins is different from the rest of these guys
Oh yeah,
because
T. Higgins is a
he
pure
had
one.
a
He's a one. He's a
he had
one.
a franchise tag placed on him. Now, keep in mind, they still have Jamar Chase, who has 2 years left of his deal. He's awaiting a contract extension, negotiation type, some conversation to say, hey, we still want you in Cincinnati. But T. Higgins, who is their second man, who they still want in Cincinnati because he's been very productive for them. I think he's probably the best number 2 wide receiver, him or Jalen Waddle. I think I would either one. I might put Jalen Waddle above him, but either or, he's yet to sign this franchise tag that's been placed on him for the 2024 NFL season. This is worth $21.8 million, which is more than any wide receiver on this list so far. He's getting paid more than all of them. Um, but of course, he requested a trade before that franchise tag was placed. So obviously, he's not happy with the situation in Cincinnati. And I want to know what's going through T. Higgins' mind. Why is this a thing? Is he just unhappy in Cincinnati? Do you think there's another team that's willing to pay T. Higgins? Does he think he's number one wide receiver somewhere else? Let me know, Nate. What's going on?
He is number one wide receiver somewhere else. He's a number one wide receiver. This is just pure business. This is a business move in itself. We know that Cincinnati, their number one wide receiver is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is their one. But T. Higgins is the best. Like, you know what? Jamar Chase is Batman. T. Higgins is Robin. But T. Higgins, he's Batman on somebody else's team. And this is one of those moves where he wants the opportunity to, you know what, be the focal point, be the number one wide receiver. He's put up great numbers. As a number two, he's put up really solid numbers. And this is just business. He wants the opportunity to be the guy, you know, and this is the business aspect of the NFL. You know, again, you can't keep everybody. You can't keep everybody. And if there's a team out there, you know, that franchise tag is 21.8, as you said. If there's a team out there that says, hey, listen, we'll make you a number one. We'll pay you market value 30+ million a year because we see what you can do. Oh, come on now. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but math is my favorite. 30 is higher than 21.
I agree. And T. Higgins, are we seeing T. Higgins? You said Batman and Robin. Are we seeing T. Higgins become Nightwing? Is this what we're seeing?
Yes, that's what we're saying.
Because obviously that's his only choice at this point. If Cincinnati and the only way that I think that if T. Higgins stays, the only way to entice him and say, hey, look, we are the only team in the past 5 seasons that has been close to beating and have not even close. They have beating Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. We are the only hope for the AFC. The only hope. And we can only do that with you, T. Higgins. And I think that's the only way they can entice him with another championship run.
Yeah, they're the only team that has really been a consistent threat to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals. Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, they have been a threat to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.